The Galactic Council's archives would later record it as the most catastrophic diplomatic oversight in recorded history. Ambassador Ceasefire of the Hegemony still remembered the day they signed the Terran Exclusion Accord. Believing humanity to be nothing more than a primitive species confined to a single blue world in an unremarkable spiral arm, they had been so very wrong. For 3 centuries, the galaxy had prospered under the Treaty of Void's End. 12 major civilizations had carved up the stars between them, establishing trade routes, mining rights, and territorial boundaries with the precision of experienced galactic powers. The Krillian Dominion controlled the core worlds, the Zephyrian Commonwealth dominated the outer rim, and 10 other species maintained their respective spheres of influence. Earth had been noted in their surveys, a small planet harboring bipedal mammals who had barely achieved nuclear fission. The treaty classified them as a pre-contact civilization and established a quarantine zone around their solar system. Standard protocol: observe from a distance, do not interfere, and wait for them to achieve faster-than-light travel before formal contact. No one had bothered to check on them recently. Dr. Sarah Chen, commander of humanity's first deep space exploration vessel Prometheus, stared at the alien construct that had been broadcasting warnings at them for the past 6 hours. The massive station, bristling with weapons that could atomize her ship 1,000 times over, hung in space like a metallic spider guarding the gateway to the wider galaxy. "They're telling us to turn back," her communications officer reported, his voice tight with tension. "Something about trespassing in Krillian space and violating some treaty." Sarah's jaw tightened. 300 years of human technological advancement, faster than light travel, quantum computing, molecular engineering, artificial intelligence that could think at the speed of light. And they were being told they couldn't leave their own solar system because of some cosmic bureaucracy. "Remind me," she said quietly, "did we ever sign this treaty?" "No, ma'am. According to our historical databases, no alien civilization has ever made contact with Earth." Sarah nodded slowly. Around her, the bridge crew of humanity's finest waited for orders. Behind them, a fleet of 300 ships, the entire might of the Terran Space Force, held position in the void. Each vessel was a masterwork of human engineering, armed with weapons that converted matter directly into energy, and protected by shields that could bend space-time itself. "Then we're not bound by it," she decided. "All ships prepare to advance. If they want to stop us from exploring the galaxy our ancestors dreamed of reaching, they're welcome to try." The first shots came from the Krillian station. Energy bolts that could have cracked a moon struck the Prometheus's shields and dispersed harmlessly. The return volley turned the alien construct into expanding plasma in less than 3 seconds. Word of the incident spread across the galaxy at quantum speeds. The Krillian Dominion mobilized their third fleet, 5,000 warships that had never known defeat. They arrived at the quarantine zone to find empty space and 300 human vessels that shouldn't have existed. Admiral Thekmore, veteran of a dozen galactic campaigns, opened communications with supreme confidence. These primitives had clearly stumbled onto some ancient weapons cache. A show of force would send them scurrying back to their homeworld. "Unknown vessels," he broadcast. "You are in violation of Galactic Treaty Article 7. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." The human response came not in words, but in weapons fire. Beams of coherent energy that operated on principles the Krillians didn't understand tore through their shields like tissue paper. Ships that had dominated battlefields for centuries were reduced to debris in moments. Of the 5,000 vessels in the Third Fleet, fewer than 100 escaped to tell the tale. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Surely this was some kind of mistake. The humans were supposed to be primitives. Their last intelligence reports had them using chemical rockets and primitive computers. How had they developed technology that made the galaxy's finest fleets look like children's toys? Ambassador Ceasefire accessed the archives with growing horror. The last survey of Earth had been conducted 847 galactic standard years ago. Since then, humanity had been left alone in their quarantine zone, free to develop and grow while the galaxy's attention focused elsewhere. They had wasted no time. The Zephyrian Commonwealth tried next, sending their most advanced dreadnoughts armed with singularity weapons. The humans met them at the edge of the quarantine zone and demonstrated technology that violated several fundamental laws of physics. Matter converters that turned enemy ships into raw materials for their own fleet. temporal displacement weapons that age targets into dust, reality warping devices that simply convinced the universe that enemy vessels had never existed. Within 6 months, 5 major galactic civilizations had thrown their greatest fleets against humanity. Within 6 months, those fleets had been reduced to scrap metal and expanding gas clouds. The remaining powers tried diplomacy, sending envoys to Earth to negotiate. They found a world transformed, glittering cities that stretched from ground to stratosphere, orbital installations that dwarfed their greatest space stations, and a species that had evolved beyond their original biological limitations. Humans who lived for centuries, whose minds could interface directly with quantum computers, whose bodies could survive in the void of space unprotected. You excluded us from your galaxy, President Martinez told the assembled alien diplomats. Her words carried across known space by faster-than-light communication networks humanity had built in secret. You decided our fate without consulting us, declared us too primitive to join your community of worlds, and built walls to keep us in our cage. She gestured to the holographic display showing human fleets now occupying former alien strongholds across 12 sectors. We've been studying you for 3 centuries. Your technology, your weaknesses, your wars. While you thought we were still playing with fire, we were preparing to take our place among the stars whether you welcomed us or not. The aliens pleaded for mercy, for negotiation, for a chance to make amends. They offered membership in the Galactic Council, trade agreements, technology exchanges, anything to stop the relentless human advance. But humanity had learned patience from their centuries of isolation. They had learned that the galaxy was not a community of equals, but a collection of predators who viewed any species as either useful or expendable. They had seen how the civilized powers dealt with primitives like themselves, and they had decided to return the favor. The war lasted another year. When it ended, human colonies dotted every habitable world in the galaxy. The great alien civilizations existed now as protectorates, allowed to maintain their cultures and limited self-governance under human oversight. The Galactic Council still met, but now they reported to a Terran governor who made the real decisions. Ambassador Ceasefire, now serving as a clerk in the new administration, often wondered what would have happened if they had simply invited humanity to join the galactic community from the beginning. If they had offered partnership instead of quarantine, cooperation instead of exclusion. But late at night, reviewing reports of human technological capabilities, she suspected the outcome would have been the same. Some species were born to follow. Others were destined to lead. And humanity had spent 3 centuries learning exactly what kind of species they truly were.